Hello, my name is Nick, and I am an engineer, and welcome back to my series of tutorials for Kerbal space program. This series of tutorials is, again, for the beginners of Kerbal space program. So in the last tutorial, I showed you how to build a rocket in the vehicle assembly building and get into orbit around Kerbal. This episode, I'm going to show you how to get into orbit around another celestial body. Now, if you look at a map of the solar system, or the Kerbal system, and you look at the nearest celestial body to Kerbal is the Mun. So I'm going to show you how to build a rocket capable of getting into orbit around the Mun and back to Kerbal. So anyway, let's start the game. And this time, go to Resume Saved. Not Start New, but Resume Saved. Head to our tutorial world. Excuse me. Anyway, so now here we are back into our tutorial world, in which we're going to go back to our vehicle assembly building, which is this building right here. And now we're in here. And what we're going to do, we're going to go to the Mun. And so, we're going to have to put a lot more rocket under this than the last rocket. So, we're going to put the command pod Mark 1, use that as our command pod because again, it's an easy command pod to work with. And it has a heat shield, so if they ever incorporate deadly branching on into this, then this will be still valid because this has a heat shield on it. This does not. Now again, if you're wondering about all these parts up here, I have mods installed. I'm not using any of the mods, but I have mods installed. So just ignore them. So we're going to head to our utility tab and get the Mark 16's parachute and put it on top of the capsule because again, this is for when we get back into Kerbal. This is going to slow us down before we hit the ground. And underneath this, we're going to be putting a decoupler. The TR-1A stack decoupler is one that fits this well. And beneath that, we're going to be putting some rocket underneath it. So head to our propulsion tab and head on over to the FLT-400 fuel tank. Click that and put it under here. And then beneath that, we're going to put the LV909 engine because this is very efficient in space. Now, it's rather efficient with fuel, and it gives out a nice amount of thrust in space. Meanwhile, this one is very efficient with fuel, although it has a lot amount of thrust. It's still useful for interplanetary missions, but for a Muner mission, a Muner orbit mission, I suggest the LV909 to be the engine below. The engine for your, well, essentially is a service module. Anyway, so beneath that, we're going to head back to structural tab, the structural tab. I need to English more. Put another stack decoupler beneath the LV909. And beneath that, now, this is going to be your little boost, because again, I do not expect you to be completely perfect with everything, or have the luck I had when I was testing this rocket. So put another FLT-400 fuel tank beneath that decoupler, and below that we're going to be putting two FLT-800 fuel tanks, like so. And below that we're going to be putting a LV-T-45 underneath this, because this is also going to be in space. Not as long as this, but it's going to be in not as long as this part, but it's going to be in space. So what essentially I'm going to be doing is that we're going to be putting more rocket on this. This isn't, and I believe this is orbit worthy, but it's not exactly space worthy. What did I say? It's not orbit worthy, but it's orbit worthy, but it's not worthy of an orbit around the Mun. So we're going to go structural. I'm going to be taking this TT-70 radial decoupler. We're going to be putting it on the side of this 100 times 2 symmetry. So we're going to place that. Actually, better idea. Place it about here. And then on that, head back to propulsion. And then we're going to head over to the tab with the FLT 800. I'm sorry, I just whited out real quick. My memory just went blank for a small second. But this is about this high because it sort of matches up with the... Sometimes that'll happen if you're putting stuff on decouplers. It'll go through the decoupler. Still doing it. Probably gonna have to attach this lower than I am. You can see right there. And then we're gonna be putting this higher. Yep, it's not quite, but it's just about aligned with this. And we're gonna be putting another one of these below that stack. And beneath that, we're gonna be putting an LVT-30 because this is not going to space. And then here comes the part that you need to really be paying attention, because if not, you're gonna really screw up your flight. We're gonna take the FTX to external fuel duct, again with 2 times symmetry on. By the way, all this stack was created with 2 times symmetry. Place 1 fuel line on the outside tanks. This is the very important part. Put it on the outside fuel tanks, and then connect it to the inside fuel tanks. Basically, with this configuration, the outer fuel tanks will be draining their fuel into the engines, but also into the center stack as well. Actually, I know a better place to do this to make sure my fears. It's mainly because of an older version, if I'm correct. Either that or I've really been lied to. Put them at the top of this fuel tank and connect them to the bottom of this fuel tank. This is the important part. Make sure you do connect it from the outside fuel tank to the internal one. Because if you do it to the internal one to the external ones, this center stack is going to be drained to these 2 side stacks. And that's not what we want to happen. Anyway, and that's the base of our rocket. Now what we're going to do is that we're going to make it more structurally stable with the magnificent struts. So we're going to put a strut here. Here. Well, first we shall do something that will just make me feel happier. We're going to take this, we're going to drag it off, rotate it, put it back on. This is essentially to help our gravity turn. Anyway, and beneath this, actually, let me take this off more, and we're going to put an inline advanced stabilizer beneath that decoupler. And on the sides, we're going to be putting an inline reaction wheel. Go aerodynamics. It was on the last slide. And put an aerodynamic nose cone on top of the SAS modules. And, yep, it's exactly how we want it. We're going to be putting more struts onto this. So we're going to head over to this tab with the strut. Be connecting it from here to here with 2 times symmetry. And that's perfect. It doesn't obstruct anything I'm about to put on there. And so now we're going to go into the aerodynamics tab, find the AVRA twinglet, and we're going to be putting ones on the side of the external fuel tanks. And now, with 4 times symmetry, we're going to be putting them on the internal fuel tank for extra controllability in the atmosphere. Up here, we're going to be heading into the utility tab. Heading into the utility tab and finding the PB nuke radiothermal things. again make it to where they're pointing upwards. On 8 times symmetry, place them all down. Find the OX 4W 2x3 photovoltaic panels and put them on the side, only with 2 times symmetry. Anyway, now this rocket is capable of taking you to Muner orbit and back. So now we're going to title it Muner orbit and back. Save it, and we're going to launch it. Now, anyway, so we're super pumped up for orbit. We're going to be heading into orbit around the Mun and coming back. So yeah, this is going to be exciting. Go full throttle, SAS on 3, 2, 1, and the external fuel tanks are the only ones that are burning. And this is a sign that you've done something wrong. Basically, when you hit the spacebar for the first time, all 3 engines should be burning. Now, I did not show this to you, I just want to demonstrate it, so in case... demonstrate it, because this is something that I actually make mistakes a lot with, so we're just gonna stage everything to make sure everything else works, which it does. Anyway, we're gonna revert to the vehicle assembly. And we're gonna adjust our staging. Basically, the only problem here is that this engine is burning after these engines are. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna click and drag. You will have to hold down the mouse button for this one and drag it down to stage number 6, which is then renamed to stage number 5 because there is nothing in stage number 4. So yeah, everything gets bumped down by 1 number. Anyway, so now you're prepared to go in orbit around the Mun and back. So now we will launch it. Anyway, so here we are on the launch pad, full throttle, SAS on, 3, 2, 1, and now all 3 engines are burning. So now basically, all of your knowledge for this next step will come from knowing how to make an orbit around Kerbal. I've actually made a separate tutorial on that. I will probably link it in the description. Anyway, now we're going to go up and out of there. Anyway, so again, when orbiting for the first 10 kilometers, you want to be going straight up and be as close to, but not lower than 150 meters per second. Anyway. So yeah, I'm decelerating a little bit now. Sorry about that. Distractions. They happen. Anyway, so I'm going to resume my flight. Again, staying as close to 150 as possible, but not go below it. Now that we're 10 kilometers, we go full throttle and turn towards the 90-degree east section of our nav. Trying not to divert anywhere else. In fact, well, first of all, stage this. Now that we're out of feel of it, and look, we're now completely full. Well, now we're not because we've started using some fuel from it. So we're going up. I'm gonna be doing this from the map. Anyway, so now we're gonna have to try to keep our distance in terms of time from our apoapsis. Which is why we're burning still at the 98 degrees vector and not towards prograde. Because I'm waiting for our time to go to a specific point. Preferably around 25 or 30 seconds is when I suggest starting getting closer to prograde from the 90 degrees area. Anyway, so now I'm gonna go to this area of the nav ball. This area. And now, because we're at a specific speed, this section. And now we're exceeding, going upwards, checking our stage that we're currently on. Again, I suggest with this, you don't go like right in the middle of this, just hang a little bit outwards towards the upwards position, because if you burn directly at it, I think you'll most likely get a shallow. You'll be burning shallow. Anyway, we're aiming for about 100-kilometer orbit, so 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, and 2. Please tell me I get a 100-kilometer orbit during this. Please, aerodynamics, drag. Aerodynamic drag, work. Hey, this is about the only time I'm saying that. Yep, this is a rare occurrence where I'm hoping drag will work during a launch. Anyway, so yeah, that little amount of fuel gave us a little amount of fuel, even though that's empty, and that has a very small amount of fuel. Like, not even equivalent to that can. And we're losing our apoapsis height, so we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna adjust to this position in case we need to do another correction burn. I guess it's prefer to have this open during that point. Maybe even some stage only. Yeah, keep everything open. As you can see, because of the way we did it, we don't have to burn that much to get into orbit. Yeah, I don't think we'll have to do a correction burn. Like now we're gonna be extending the panels and plotting maneuvers. So I'm gonna set this maneuver to an orbit. Set to an orbit first. So yeah, 199, 100, 101, 101. Okay, that's about good enough. So now we're gonna head towards this area. It's gonna be, our burn will last about 5 seconds with this stage. So we're gonna align ourselves with that and then time accelerate towards the point where we need to burn. Prograde. And I'm pretty confident that this amount of fuel will last the entire burn. 1 minute, 5, 4. and 100. Off by about 2 meters a second, but hey. How much fuel do we have? Not that much, although I'm still gonna keep it. It'll help me. Anyway, so now if we zoom out, you can see the Mun and another celestial body named Minimus. If you're gonna be orbiting around another celestial body and it's your first time, orbit around the Mun. If you're gonna be landing on another celestial body for your first time, land on Minimus. Reason why? It requires less fuel to get to the Mun than it is to get to Minimus. Although Minimus has a lot less gravity than the Mun. So therefore, you need less fuel to land on Minimus than you need to land on the Mun. So now we're gonna be finding our maneuver to get to the Mun. So we're gonna add maneuver first at prograde. Always check prograde to see if you can use the Oberth effect to your advantage, which basically if you burn prograde aid at your periapsis, it'll advance your apoapsis more efficiently. If you burn prograde at your apoapsis, it'll increase your periapsis more efficiently. Add maneuver, and then we're gonna burn outwards to about... That sits at about 11 kilometer orbit, so I'm gonna put it about 12 kilometers. Well, 12 million meters. So what would that be? Oh, we have an encounter, and we'll start moving around and see if we have an encounter. Probably gonna try to put this at low as possible as I can find it at. Anyway, and that's just 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20. There we go. I think that's a good periapsis. 20 kilometers is a good periapsis for a Muner orbit. By the way, I just love how they spell the name of the Mun. M-U-N. Anyway, so it'll be lasting 34 seconds. I'll be burning at about 34 seconds because there's no way that the engine that we've been currently using will last for 34 seconds. So anyway, we're just time accelerating until we get to the right position. Take a swig of my drink. $11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I'm going to be starting at 34 seconds. And then press this stage and select this. And we'll be burning. So now, that's been our stage for getting us into an orbit and on our path to a Muner orbit. Or Muner orbit, I'm not sure how the exact pronunciation for it is. Anyway, take another swig. Generic soft drink. It's amazing. Anyway. So now we're increasing our apostasis. We'll be increasing the apostasis. Anyway, so apostasis increasing by a significant number. It's getting more significant. Probably be burning more towards the maneuver. No. Oh! So now we're gonna be expanding. And when we get to a close enough to it, and it stops doing that glitch thing, we're just confused whether or not we're getting an encounter. Anyway, sorry I got silent there. I'm just focusing. Oh god, the glitchiness! 50, 40, 30, 20. Okay, so that seems about good enough. So now, we shall stop our SAS. And time accelerate. Forward, out, into space. Now, at this point, you really need to slow down, because if you don't, then when you exit the Mun, you'll be put at escape velocity from Kerbal and be sent into interplanetary space. Which, basically, from there on, I'm not may God have mercy on your soul. I don't know. I'm not sure. Especially considering what you're dealing with. You have a small little spacecraft with some of its fuel drain with an LV-909 engine in interplanetary space. I'm not sure how I'll help you from there. That'll be a different tutorial for a different time. So yeah, be coming in. Now, you want to slow down right before. Anyway, so this is what happens when you mainly change the sphere of influence. Like, as you saw from Kerbal, it said I have Mun periapsis of 28 kilometers, but now it went up to 27 kilometers. Make sure to take note of that before you head to the celestial, before you start decoupling things useful, because I have one time when I was returning from a Mun landing, and I didn't pay attention to my periapsis as soon as I got to Kerbal's sphere of influence, so I decoupled it, and then I realized I'm not going down fast enough, and I looked at the map, and instead of a 20-kilometer periapsis, I had a 44-kilometer periapsis, which meant I went out of the atmosphere, and yeah, things weren't that good that day. So, now, we're going to circularize or orbit around the Mun, so at the Mun periapsis, we're going to add maneuver, and make that maneuver to circularize ourselves. So yeah, drag that retrograde meter, and it's going to go and go and go, 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 31, 24, 29, 19. Do more things to try to circularize with it. Okay, that isn't working. $28, $26. I'm sorry, things are getting real tense. I'll probably cut this down later. Yeah, that seems about good enough. I'm sorry for that moment of silence. I was just adjusting my maneuver node to be perfect. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. So now we align ourselves and we time accelerates until about 34, so that'll be about 17 seconds. T-minus 17 seconds until maneuver node. So now you see that fine Muner surface. So about T-minus 17 seconds. Throttle back. and 27. You know what? That's good enough. So anyway, now we're in orbit around the Mun, so you can time accelerate to see all the Muner soil. You can do an EVA and spacewalk around the capsule, R to turn on your RCS and L to turn on your light. Look at that fine Muner soil. Head back to your capsule because you realize that you forgot to turn off the water. And your capsule's probably floating. Okay, so let's try that again. Sometimes that'll happen if you try to grab onto a ladder. And attempt 2, it did happen, so yay. Anyway, so yeah, you can do basically whatever you want now. Because I sort of want to make this video shorter than my orbit tutorial, I'm gonna leave now. So to plan our exit maneuver, well, first make a maneuver, start at periapsis, then accelerate now. From this point, if we accelerate, we'll be on a escape trajectory from Kerbal. So instead, what we're gonna do, we're gonna move this around and maybe even mess with our orbit, and now we have that point to the point to where when we accelerate, we'll be heading closer. Our periapsis will be closer. That's actually a very close one. That's actually very good. Okay, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 9, 26, 23, 22, 21, 20. Okay, 20 is a very good position if you're coming from a Muner orbit. Anyway, so now we just gotta find where maneuver node is. Use time acceleration to our advantage. Because if you do non-physical time acceleration, it'll stop the ship in its path. So, time acceleration. $15. 13. Oh yeah, T-minus 19, so about 10 seconds. We'll start the sprint T-minus 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 46. 10. And now we're starting a burn. Do this maneuver in map mode for ease of use. Anyway, so now we are expanding apoapsis until we're not there anymore. 9. Anyway, just doing some fine tuning here. 7, 6, 5, 4, 2. Yeah, very good. So now, what we have to do, time accelerate to the point where we're flying away from the Mun. Bye, Mun. You were a good moon of Kerbal. I'm acting like the Mun just got blown up or something. Oh, God. Someone, make a Kerbal Space Program film of that, because I have zero experience in KSP film, besides tutorials, but whatever. Someone make that. The Mun gets exploded. Mun gets exploded. Can someone teach me how English? Because obviously I have no idea how to, and I live in America. It's just... Then again, I live in America. Okay, stop. So yeah. SAS on. Detach. Form our service module. Make sure we're pointing perigrade, and then let's time accelerate through this. Now here's sort of a negative thing about what I've done. We're landing on the dark. We're landing at night, and I have no lights on this. Which not necessarily a bad thing. I just don't like doing this, because now I have no idea where I'm landing. I could be landing on a mountain. I could be landing in a valley. I could be landing in the sea. From the looks of it looks like area. Deploy parachute at 200 for safety reasons. And then time accelerate sparingly. Keep switching it up so you're time accelerating somewhat at full speed, but not necessarily, because if you time accelerate at full speed and your parachute fully deploys, it may rip off. I'm not sure if they fix that, so yeah. Just be careful. Swig of generic soft drink that everyone drinks. Anyway, we're about to touchdown. And touchdown coming close, and huzzah! Now we can EVA and walk out here and stretch our legs. We're going to do a quick EVA report to find out what biome we're in. We're at the grasslands. So yeah, plant flag. Plant our second flag for a reminder of where we've been. And this has been a grasslands. Take down the flag. So I put it as Mountain 1. I'm gonna head back in my capsule real quick. Mountain 1, so this will be Grassland 2. This shall be Grassland 2. Anyway, so this shall be called Grassland -2. Anyway, now if we read the plaque, Jeb came from Muner orbit and back. Okay, so what we're going to do now is that we're going to head back into our capsule, recover our vessel, not revert flight because then that'll destroy our flag as well. And you have successfully orbited the Mun and came back. Next time on Kerbal Space Program Tutorials, I will be showing you how to land on another celestial body and come back. Till then, I'm Nick, and I'm an engineer. Signing